Hey guys, welcome to a new episode of AV in the Films. Guys, I want to talk about something here for a little bit. It's something I've been wanting to do on this show for a while now, and I think you guys can probably relate to this list that I'm going to do. I don't know how long this is going to be, this episode, because there are a lot of movies on the list that I found that I think of. But I thought this would be interesting to talk about, considering I never really did this list before. And ironically, I don't see a lot of movie critics talk about a list like this a lot. Like, the closest thing I can think of, like, maybe WatchMojo.com has tackled this, but I haven't, and I really would like to. I've been working on a documentary for the last 6 or 7 months now, and it's nearing completion. In about 2 months from now, it'll be nearing completion. And it's a movie I've been wanting to make for a while, and my friend and I that are working on it, I can't go into what the movie's going to be right now, not yet. But my friend and I have been working on it, and we're really fortunate enough that we got a chance to do this movie. And as I was doing this movie, in the second half of the documentary, without giving away what it is, because I know I'm not allowed to talk about it yet, let's just say that a big portion of my childhood is in the second part of this documentary. Well, I started reminiscing about my childhood and the movies I watched. And this is around 1995, 96 till around 2005, 2006. That 10-year period. And I was thinking, I wonder what movies I did like, because I do remember watching a lot of movies, but only a handful of them stuck out to me. And I've watched all these movies again recently, and a lot of them hold up. Some of them don't. Some of them are actually really bad. But I thought it'd be interesting to do a list of the movies that I watched as a kid. My childhood movies. Movies that came out when I was a kid. Movies that I watched a lot when I was a kid. Didn't watch after some time had gone by. Watched them again. Some of them hold up, a lot of them don't. And the thing is this, a lot of these movies you're going to hear on this list are kids' movies. So, yeah, but that doesn't mean that they should be, bad because they're kids' movies. I mean, a lot of kids' movies that I know and watched were for adults too. Some of these aren't. And it pains me to say this. I will say I do stand by these movies despite their flaws, because I always say no movie is perfect. But I really do stand by this list, because these movies bring back a lot of memories for me as a kid. And yeah, these are just great. And if you guys never heard of some of these movies, I strongly recommend you guys check them out. I don't recommend all of them, but you'll see what happens. I'm not gonna go in any order, like what movie is my favorite as a kid. These are just the movies that I watched as a kid that I loved, and I'm gonna talk about them. So here we go. Beetlejuice. Now, I've already talked about this movie in my top 20 favorite films list nearly 3 years ago, so I won't talk about it for too long. I do remember watching this movie. My aunt had it on video cassette, and I used to watch it over at her place when I was little. I can't recall the first time I ever did see this movie. I really can't. I just remember watching it and really liked the strangeness of it, the weird. Because this was the first Tim Burton movie I really took notice of. That and another movie that Tim Burton worked on, which we'll get into later, which is on this list, but we'll get into it in a minute. This movie, I just loved this movie as a kid. I never really was terrified of it. I know some people were terrified of this movie when they watched it as a kid. I wasn't. There were some things in this movie that did kind of skeeve me a little bit, like, you know what I mean? Like, that was it. And I'll tell you what they were. The first thing that kind of gave me, like, it didn't, like I said, nothing in this movie scared me. Like, I never had nightmares from this movie or anything. If anything, every time it was on TV, I had to watch it. I just loved it. But the things that skeeved me were the scene when Alec Baldwin and Gina Davis go outside the house for the first time after they're, quote-unquote dead. And the sandworm comes out. That sandworm, it's so late 80s, Evil Dead 2, claymation, like, animatronic, you know what I mean? It's like, it just, oh god, that's just so 80s looking, the way that sandworm is. But it was creepy looking, that thing. And for a while, I thought that thing was Beetlejuice. I thought it was, because Beetlejuice can turn into all these different kinds of, you know, things, like the snake scene, of course. The snake scene didn't really scare me that much, to be honest with you. It never did. It did to everybody else, not to me, because I knew it was Michael Keaton, or a Michael Keaton lookalike animatronic. But I never really was skeeved by that, not really. I love Michael Keaton in this role. I think that's one of the greatest roles he's ever done. And yeah, I'm gonna address the elephant in the room here. I am not looking forward to Beetlejuice 2. I heard there was a Beetlejuice 2 called Beetlejuice Goes Hawaiian. It was in production ever since, like, 1990, like 2 years after the first movie came out. Winona Ryder says they might do it. I don't know if they're gonna do it. If they do it, please don't suck. I mean, like, Tim Burton, not everything Tim Burton does is gold, people. I mean, like, we know that. We know that. He can make good stuff and bad stuff, but you never know. So, but anyway, long story short, I really like this movie. Every time I watch it, it brings back those memories of watching it in the late 90s on video cassette. I finally got it on DVD. I have it on DVD. And I could watch that movie over and over again. I don't watch that around Halloween. I watch that movie year-round. It is just awesome. And if you guys haven't seen it, what are you waiting for? Kangaroo Jack. Now, the funny thing is, a lot of people probably don't remember this movie when it came out. Needless to say, it did come out in January. But that doesn't mean it's going to be a bad movie. But the funny thing is about this film, I looked it up. Rotten Tomatoes gave it 8%, and you know what? Okay, I will say this. The relationship between Jerry O'Connell, I think, is it O'Connell? Yeah, Jerry O'Connell and Anthony Anderson is great. I love their chemistry in this movie as the two friends. I like that. That still holds up. I like that. I do like this really ridiculous premise of them delivering 50 grand to Jerry O'Connell's mob boss father, who's played by Christopher Walken, which you think would be interesting, but he's barely in the movie. He's only in the movie for like 2 scenes. And I like the fact that they put the jacket on this kangaroo, and there's 50, and the 50 grand is in the pocket, and the kangaroo hops off with the money. That's the premise, and the premise is them trying to get the money back from the kangaroo. That's the premise of the movie. Really stupid idea, but okay. I mean, it's a dopey movie and everything, but I saw this movie in the theater when it came out, and these are the things I don't like about this movie now. But as a kid, I mean, I was 10 when this came out, so I was a little kid. I liked it when it came out. I did. I thought it was funny. I thought Anthony Anderson... You gotta remember, Anthony Anderson was on a roll at this point in his career. I mean, he was doing really funny roles. This is hilarious, what he does in this movie. These are the things I don't like about it. How the hell how this movie got away with a PG rating is mind-blowing. I mean, this is obviously trying to be a kid's movie, and it's not. It's really violent at times in this movie, even for kids. I mean, there's like there's like, not poachers. So here's the thing: when they don't, when the gangsters find out that they didn't get the money because the kangaroo got it, and the Jerry O'Connell and Anthony Anderson are trying to get it. The mob boss is like, not Christopher Walken, the guy underneath him, the guy who was in Man of Steel. He played oh crap, what's his name? I didn't see the movie, but I know who he is. He's the guy that played Zod. Yeah, General Zod in Man of Steel. This guy says, well, they didn't deliver the money, what are we gonna do? Well, I'll hire this guy to go track him down and kill him. And this guy's got a knife, and there are scenes when he finally catches up to the two heroes, Jerry O'Connell and Anthony Anderson. He holds a knife up to like their throat and stuff, and I'm like, and he's like, if you don't give me the money, I'm gonna do it. And I'm like, dude, this is supposed to be it's supposed to be for kids, actually. That's the weird thing. I understand if it wants to be a little bit dark, like, I'm all for dark humor, that's fine, but it's like, it just comes right out of nowhere. It's really, and then there are scenes where, now, first of all, to anyone here who knows this movie, that music, you know, dun 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 dun, every time, there are scenes that just come out of nowhere that make no sense, and this is just for the kids. It's just for the kids. There's no other reason to have these scenes in the movie except for the fact that it's trying to be a kids movie. There are scenes when the movie will just stop and we'll cut to the CG kangaroo, the really shitty looking CG kangaroo. I'm not kidding. The effects are really bad here. Of the kangaroo reaching in the pocket and like finding stuff that, because it's Anthony Anderson's jacket that he put on him, and he's like eating the fireball, and it's like supposed to be funny when he's like, oh my god, it's hot, and it's like he's reacting to it, and they're playing that guitar stringing music. And then that's it. That scene will be gone, and then we'll cut back to the movie. There are like 5 or 6 times that happens throughout the movie, and I just don't get it. I mean, it's supposed to be a kids movie. Okay, it sounds like I'm really ripping this movie up, but I like it. It's childhood to me, this movie. I like this movie. It's a part of my childhood. I like it. I like the relationship between the two characters. I like them going through Australia, and we get to see the sights of Sydney, Australia, and everything. And I like that. Like I said, there's bad stuff in this movie. It's a really stupid premise now that I'm older, but as a kid, I mean, like, you want to see this, you know what I mean? But, yeah, but I stand by Kangaroo Jack. Even for all its flaws, I still like this movie. So, yeah, Kangaroo Jack, that's definitely one on the list. Next one. The Cat in the Hat. A lot of people online have been saying this is a really, really, really bad adaptation of Dr. Seuss's classic book. Well, yeah, that's true. That's true. It's a bad movie, and I know it's bad. I know it's terrible. However, the film does look good. I mean, it's got that Dr. Seuss look to it. I mean, it's almost kind of like The Grinch. Like, The Grinch, the Jim Carrey version of The Grinch, and I've done this already, I've done that movie already. It's bad, but the scope of it looks pretty good. The Cat in the Hat, this movie, I was so looking forward to seeing this movie when it came out. This came out in November of 2003, somewhere around that time. And I went to see it, and I knew Mike Myers was going to be in it, who I knew from Austin Powers and Shrek and those movies. And this movie came out, and I saw it, and I liked it. I did, and I'll tell you why I liked it, okay? What I really like about this movie, I'll explain the flaws later, but what I like about this movie, and what I liked about it then and now, is that I like all the fourth wall jokes. There's a lot of fourth wall jokes in this movie. I'm all for that. If you guys saw my favorite TV show episode, you know I love Family Guy, and that's like wall-to-wall fourth wall jokes. But I love the fourth wall jokes. There are... Now, okay, this comes into the flaws. This went right over my head when I saw this in the theaters. For a kids movie, and especially for a Dr. Seuss adaptation, lots of sexual innuendos in this movie. I mean, like, it's trying so hard to appeal to adults and to kids, and it does it so badly that it appeals to no one. And the thing is, now that I am an adult, that it's, you know, 12 years later after the movie came out, I'm picking up on these. I'm so thankful that these innuendos went right over my head, because that would have really killed me. Thank God it went over, because, like, I'm just amazed that got away with it. I mean, no wonder why the sequel got canceled. They were going to do The Cat in the Hat Comes Back, you know, the book. They were going to do the sequel, and the movie did so poorly that they canceled it right there. So that's what I like. I like, surprisingly as it is, I do like Mike Myers as the Cat in the Hat. I think he's funny. He always does that cowardly lion laugh from The Wizard of Oz all the time in this movie. If you notice it, that's what he's basically doing, an impression of Bert Lahr from The Wizard of Oz. That's basically what he's doing. I like that. I think like Dakota Fanning as Professor Breslin as the kids. Okay. Thing 1 and Thing 2, that whole scene when he lets Thing 1 and Thing 2 out of the crate, that was something. But the thing that I really like about this movie are the fourth wall. Like the scene, I'll give you an example. The scene I like that my friends and I used to crack up at, we used to laugh so freaking hard to this scene when this movie came out. Because we would have birthday parties and shit, and we would like stay up late at night, and we would watch like the movies that were big at the time, and we would watch, and when we would watch The Cat in the Hat, the scene with the Cupcakeinator, we would just laugh and laugh to that scene.
This amazing device can instantly make cupcakes out of anything that you have in the kitchen. Wait a minute, did you say anything?
Anything.
Anything?
Yes, anything.
Anything?
Anything.
Anything?
Shut up. I mean it. I will end you.
Cat, your tail.
What about it? Oh, I see. I've chopped it off. Well, that's interesting because... Son of a bitch!
I thought that was funny.